Join our family for AFCON Morocco 2025 from 21 December to 18 January. Available on DSTV and GoTV.
Welcome to the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, where business and political leaders meet to drive Africa's single market.
Distinguished guests, this is our moment to make history. We must act not in isolation, but together as united Africa.
Under the patronage of His Excellency John Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, and in partnership with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, the Africa Prosperity Network presents the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2026 under the theme Empowering SMEs, Women and Youth in Africa's Single Market. Innovate, collaborate, trade.
Ghana is proud to be the home of this important dialogue series, and it will continue to enjoy my utmost support to make subsequent summits even greater.
Register now at africaprosperitynetwork.com or call or WhatsApp at +233 536 098 325.
If I were reading the news in Accra, I wouldn't bother if I mispronounce her name. But because she's sitting right in front of me, I have to pronounce it well. So I'll try. Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, former Chairperson, African Union Commission. Doc, you're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you, Mommy?
I'm fine, thanks.
Have I pronounced the name well?
Yes, you did.
You know, we like South African accents here. It's very nice. I don't know if you like our accent. I don't know if our accent comes the way it comes to you as well. You have done the continental tour, so you've seen and heard various people speak. When we hear South Africans speak, we like it. How do you pronounce the name?
Well, for some reason, for me, when I'm in any African country, I'm at home.
Okay.
So I never compare because I just take it, I'm at home.
So it is, your name is not the one that the Hossa that has the clicks. This is regular as I pronounce it. That's how I pronounce it, correct?
Nkosazana.
Nkosazana. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds to me like the national anthem of South Africa.
Nkosazana. Yes, it's exactly.
Yeah. How are you doing? How is you're no more in active politics, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I decided to retire from government and parliament, but for now I'm still in the African National Congress. So that's why I say yes and no.
Partly.
Yeah.
So when you say African National Congress, for my audience in Ghana, that is the biggest political party in South Africa.
Yeah. The biggest, the oldest, the ANC.
Biggest, oldest independent party.
Yes.
I want to even equate it to the Communist Party of China, where the party remains the same, the leader keeps changing. Is that a fair attribution?
Yes, the party remains the same. It's the ANC, but yes, leaders change, come and go.
You have been member of parliament before?
Yes, I've been a member of parliament since '94.
Wow.
And then I went to Ethiopia for 4.5 years. Then I went back to parliament.
Wow, wow, 94. That's when you got your independence as a country.
Yes.
And you have served in every government of South Africa from 94.
Yes. In the first government, President Mandela appointed me as Minister of Health.
You worked with Mandela?
Yes, for 5 years as Minister of
Health. The one we all revere, you worked, how was working close to Mandela? I only read Long Walk to Freedom.
It was very good working with him. He was disciplined. You had to keep time.
Okay.
If he says the meeting starts at 9, he closes the door at 9.
Wow.
If you are not there, he'll start the meeting and he'll open later and then apologize for starting before you came.
Wow. Instead of you should be apologizing to him for coming late.
But if that happens, you'll never be late again.
That's true.
So he was a stickler for time, but just for discipline general.
You were his minister for what?
Health.
Health.
Yes.
Because you are a health practitioner, you're a medical doctor.
Yes, I'm a medical doctor.
And under Thabo Mbeki, who took over from Nelson,
I was Minister of Foreign Affairs for 10 years.
He sent you abroad?
Yes.
So you were traveling. I'm sure that was when you did a lot of, because you are celebrated mostly for your role as a foreign affairs minister. Many say that you were the most active, most powerful. You are also the longest serving foreign affairs minister in South Africa.
Well, so far, during apartheid, there was one who served longer than me. But since 94, up to now, at least I've done a full 10 years.
So after Thabo Mbeki, then you served again in Jacob Zuma's government?
Yes, I went to Home Affairs.
How was that?
Home Affairs.
So Home Affairs is what we call Interior Ministry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there I didn't finish 5 years because that's when I went to Addis, because the SADC region decided that they wanted to compete for that position.
Commission chair.
And they decided I must represent SADC.
Did you have to then resign as member of parliament to go and do that?
Yes, I had to resign.
Okay.
Yes.
So SADC being the Southern African Development, our version of ECOWAS.
Yes,
of
it's
ECOWAS.
our version of ECOWAS.
And so you went to Addis Ababa, the capital of AU.
Yes.
To go and operate there.
Yes.
For 7 years, is it?
No, for 4.5 years.
Okay.
Normally it's 4 years, but they asked me to stay an additional 6 months. Yeah.
Then after that, you served again under Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes.
His first term.
Yes.
As a what?
I started as Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, and then as Minister of Local Government and Traditional Affairs. And then when I retired, I was Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability.
What about you made all the presidents of South Africa want to work with you and give you a job?
I don't know. But I was a hard worker, and I did transformation in the departments where I worked. Maybe that's the reason, I don't know.
You belong to the ANC.
Yes.
It was a very powerful tool, vehicle for independence. Many hold the view that that vehicle is possibly running on 2 tires now, not even 3, and that you're slowly losing it as a party. As someone who is in the helm of affairs of the ANC, do you see that? Is that true, or is someone just trying to say something for their own benefit?
Well, it's partly true. I think that's why even as the ANC, we've realized that we have to renew ourselves. There has to be a renewal because we seem to have lost trust of the people, judging also from the last election, where for the first time we were way under 50%. So we are trying to renew the organization, try and bring it back to its former glory. It's not easy, but we are trying.
So this party's antecedent is the apartheid era. You lived apartheid. We have heard about it from here. We've watched movies, we've read books, but we don't feel it. Yes, I was
born during apartheid, and I left South Africa when I was a medical student. So, yes, I lived.
When you say you left, you ran away?
Yes, because they wanted to arrest me, so I escaped.
For the Gen Zs watching me, and for even people of my age mates, how bad was it? This type of government or this type of colonialism? Because we also had our own colonialism, but it appears yours was worse.
It was worse. One, there was separation, the white people and the Africans, you were separated in every respect. Where you live, you could never live in the same suburb as a white person. Where you went to school, you were not supposed to go to school, the same schools. Where you went to hospital for healthcare, you couldn't go to, there were white hospitals and hospitals for black people. So everything was like that. But they were not equal. The white schools, white hospitals, white everything was more abundant and better. The Africans, even in the bus, remember when I was living in Durban with my aunt, we had those double-decker buses. Africans had to be on the top deck. Even if the bottom deck was empty, you had to go up. If it was full, you had to stand. If there was no space to stand, you have to wait for the next bus. But even if the bottom deck was empty, because it was for white people.
This was what, 60s or 70s?
I was born in 1949, so from that time.
Oh.
Oh yes, I'm old.
Wow. I think you're my dad's age mate. Ah.
So everything was just separate. And for Africans, it was very different.
I can't picture it because I went to Durban in 2018. I loved the beaches. I loved how
we were not allowed to play in those.
Oh my God, the water
on
was
the
so
beach
clear.
you played on, we were not allowed.
Oh my God.
Even some shops, in some shops we were not allowed inside the shop. There was a little window, you had to peep through that window and point at what you want. But white people could go in. At the bank, there were two queues, the white queue and the black queue. And as black women, you were treated as a minor. So if I was working and I wanted to get an overdraft from the bank, a man had to sign for you.
Even if you're an old woman?
Even if you're an old woman, maybe your son can sign for you, or your
You are not
uncle,
fit to do it yourself?
No, you are not fit to do yourself. Even if you wanted to buy something on hire purchase where you
need a man guarantee.
You need a man to guarantee. Even if the man was unemployed.
Wow.
So that's how African women were treated in the worst possible way.
It's painful.
We were discriminated according to our color, as workers and as women. We suffered triple oppression as African women.
In 1994, when Nelson Mandela walked out and became president, he asked for forgiveness. He at least said he has forgiven.
Yes.
Do you think it is possible to forgive this thing across the board?
I think for me, forgiveness has to also go with redress. You can't hold the thing in your heart forever, but there must be redress, which has not totally happened in South Africa. The economy is still in the hands mainly of white people.
The minority white?
Yes. The financial sector is still in their hands. The land is still in their hands. So until there is complete redress, I would say, then you can say...
To see the complete redress would be to see what happened in Zimbabwe, for instance. And we have seen the the backlash of that. So do you take back the land from the quote-unquote white Boer in South Africa? If you do that, then the view is that you are doing the same thing that has been done to you, and that do not do that. How do you get redress and
Well, let's look at Zimbabwe first. What was said about Zimbabwe is not quite true. The Zimbabwean government said there must be a particular size of farm that you must have. Because there were people who had farms which were maybe as big as Belgium, one person. So they didn't take away everything. In a way, they said, let's share, which is fair. Even in a home, you share.
Mm-hmm.
So they said nobody should own a farm bigger than this size, and nobody should own more farms, a multiple of farms. So I didn't see anything wrong with that personally.
You think that would have worked in South Africa? That would have been better?
Yeah, it can. Because we are not saying we are taking everything away from everyone. We're saying, let's share. Let's equalize.
Do you think the forgiveness was too sudden and too imposing on the people of South Africa that, listen, let sleeping dogs lie, we have independence, let's move forward?
Well, I think the forgiveness was probably to say, let's put down arms. Because if you remember, there was armed struggle.
Trying to mention
Kondowesis.
the spear of...
Yes. So I think that part was to say, let's put down arms. Let's now resolve things amicably. It wasn't saying, let
the
status quo remains, no.
If I went to Soweto, streets of Johannesburg today, would I see any economic independence, or that independence economically is still far from reached?
Yeah, in Soweto, you will find people doing business.
Black people?
Black people. But I think what we have done, wrongly or rightly, is to introduce malls.
Okay.
And in the malls, it tends to be white shops.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, if you go outside the malls, there will be businesses, maybe small, but yes.
What about if I went to Cape Town? I have never been to Cape Town. I went to Durban. People say, if you go to Cape Town, it's a very white town, and that the black people, you know you are independent, you know this is your country, you know you can go there, but you can't fit there. So is it difficult to celebrate this independence as a black person in South Africa?
Cape Town is probably like a tale of two cities. There is the city, which is predominantly white. And then there are townships and places where people who are not white live there, and it's very different.
In terms of development?
In terms of development. Sky News recently did a short video showing the white part of Cape Town and the black part of Cape Town, and called it, this is Europe and this is South Africa.
Wow.
It's one of the most unequal cities in South Africa.
The difference is stark.
Very stark.
It's been 30 years since you gained independence. You have black majority rule, ANC is in charge. How come you have political power and yet your country still, the black people in your country especially say there's no economic power, no economic independence? the ANC has been a failure then?
Well, I wouldn't say we've been a failure, but I think we should transform the financial sector. Because the financial sector is the one, if you have a good idea and you want finance, you have to go to the bank to get finance. And the banks are not financing black people, women and youth to the same extent as they finance the white people.
Even under independence, there's discrimination.
Yes, because remember I talked about redress.
Yes.
They will say, what is your collateral?
Which you don't have.
Which you don't have.
From your great-grandfather, there's
Yes.
nothing.
Because they don't consider, even if you have cows, they don't consider them as a collateral.
Yeah, that's true.
They say you must have immovable property. But also the immovable property should be in a place where you have a title deed.
Which you may not have.
For instance, I grew up in the rural areas.
Which area?
I still, in KZN,
Okay.
I still have a home there. But that home, the bank does not consider as a collateral because it's a family home, it's not an individual's home.
This KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah, when my sister says I'm going home, that's where she's going. When I say I'm going home, that's where I'm going.
Is this the type of village setting homes where they build around with the huts, that kind of settings? The bank will not regard that as
No, even if you've built it a double-story brick house, because it's there.
They don't care.
Yeah. But on the other side, on the other side, if I owe the bank, they can't attach that.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Interesting.
So it works both ways in a way.
So you benefit and you suffer. Last question before I take a break. Our president, John Dramani Mahama, here in Ghana, is fighting for reparations. I'm sure you have seen and heard about that. Do you think we deserve reparation as a continent? There are people who say, listen, let's move on. Slavery was many centuries ago. Independence, we got it decades ago. Let's fix ourselves and move forward. Others say, no, we must have reparation done to us or given to us. What's your position on this?
Well, if you remember, the AU's theme for this year is precisely that, reparations. But also when we hosted the racism conference in 2001 in Durban, I was foreign minister then, the UN had a resolution that slavery was a crime against humanity and also called for reparations. So it's not only us, even the UN has said we deserve reparations.
So we must fight for it.
Of course, it's not going to be easy to get reparations, but as a matter of principle, we deserve the reparations.
This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My guest is former chairperson of the African Union Commission, the person behind the term, the Africa we want. When we come back, I'll ask her to tell us what she means by the Africa we want, the agenda of AU at 60 or 50, and how are we achieving that, if we are even achieving that at all. And I'm also interested in another agenda of the AU, silencing the guns. The guns are very loud in Sudan, in Burkina Faso, in Nigeria, in Mali. They are very loud. Can we truly silence them? What is preventing us from seeing them silenced? And then, as someone from the Fulani ethnic group known as nomads, I want to hear what her view is on this agenda to have an Africa without borders. I would be happy. I can move my cattle from Benin to Cameroon without anybody stopping me. But is that possible now without a passport? And even the AU passport, what is the agenda with that? Please stay with us.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is a competition. Everything.
Join our family for AFCON Morocco 2025 from 21 December to 18 January. Available on DSTV and GoTV.
You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. I'm Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest today is a very powerful woman on the continent of Africa. She's been chairperson of the African Union Commission. She's currently chairperson of the Advisory Council of the Africa Prosperity Network, APN. You know about the Africa Prosperity Network dialogues that we have been having here in Accra. She's a chairperson of the Governing Council. We'll talk about what the agenda is or what the plan is. But before then, let's talk about the history. You went to Addis Ababa, the African Union, in 2012. Okay, you spent almost 5 years there. The AU, how relevant is it to us as a continent today?
I think the AU is very relevant, but it's as relevant as its citizens take it seriously. Because what happens at the AU, the heads of state gather, they discuss how to take the continental agenda forward. They agree, they go back, because the implementation is not at the AU level, it's at the head of state, at the state level. So member states, if they push the agenda, AU would be very relevant. But sometimes governments need to be pushed by their citizens. So I think it's important that citizens understand the decisions that are taken there and make sure that they are implemented at the member state level.
So as a commission, you were like the secretariat. That's what you are. So you come up with a policy and leave it for the member states to implement.
Yes.
Now, was it the same time that you adopted the agenda for the 5 decades of the AU?
Yes, that was the time.
That's Agenda 2063, right?
Yes, because it was from 2013 to 2063.
Okay, so it's not the age of AU that you were planning to celebrate. You are rather planning to celebrate from the day that you adopted that plan.
Let me give you the historic reason why the date.
Okay.
When I came to the AU in 2012, 2013, we were celebrating 50 years of the formation of the Organization of African Unity, the OAU.
OAU.
So there was a big celebration in 2013. And then I said, okay, what are we celebrating? What did the OAU do that we are celebrating? And we said they decolonized the continent, because other than Western Sahara, the continent was decolonized. And I looked back at the history. In 1945, in Manchester, there was a Pan-African Congress there, which involved Pan-Africanists from the continent, but also from the diaspora. And one of the decisions they took in 1945 was that Africa must be decolonized within 50 years.
That was the agenda.
That was the agenda. So the OAU's main agenda was to decolonize. And South Africa was decolonized on the 49th year, right? So then the question was, okay, we're coming here to celebrate the decolonization of Africa. When we come back in another 50 years, what will we be celebrating? What will be the agenda?
It won't be about colonialism.
No, it has to be about something else. And that's why I then said, we should be building the Africa we want, because the Africa we have is not the Africa we want. And the Africa we want can only be built by us. So maybe in the next 50 years, let's be building that Africa. So that in 50 years, 2063, when we come, we can say, this is what we have achieved beyond colonization.
So this Africa we want, were there themes or thematic areas, and were there specific tasks? Like, we have seen the Millennium Development Goals, 15 years. These are the timelines. This is what we expect to see. Then Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Each country be A, B, C, D, do A, B, C, D. Did we have that kind of timeline and themes for the Africa we want, for the continent-wide and member?
Yes. First of all, how was that agenda crafted? We had a wide consultation of different sectors from the continent. We consulted the youth, we consulted women, scientists, even trade unions, religious leaders. We consulted artists, almost every sector. We consulted and said, what is the Africa you want? So all of them made an input. We didn't sit in Addis and
decided for them.
It was a consultative process. Everyone made an input, and then we put that together. And that's what then formed the basis of this agenda. And we then said, okay, this agenda had 7 aspirations, and then we said, let's divide it into 10-year
implementation.
So the first 10 years we put together. Then the second 10 years, I was not there anymore. But what we then were hoping that in the first 10 years, we could silence the guns.
I'm sure the guns are laughing at you.
Because you can't really have development
without peace.
When there's war, without peace. But equally, you can't sustain peace if there is no development. So we then said, let's see if we can silence the guns. And then we also said, we need to have the Africa Continental Free Trade.
Okay.
Amongst the things we have to do in the first 10 years.
So by 2023, there should be no wars or minimal wars on the continent. That's the silencing of the guns.
We were hoping that,
okay,
that there shouldn't be war.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Sudan erupted after that. There was no war in Sudan at the time. Yes, in West Africa there was Boko Haram.
Somalia?
Somali, we were trying to
deal with it.
There was war in Sudan, but there was a process to try and get it sorted.
So you would say that the silencing of the gun, you did what, 80%, 70%?
Well, maybe those that were there at the time,
okay,
we could say maybe 70%, but okay, now they are new.
Coming up.
Like Sudan,
okay,
has
so
come up.
Maintain it has been difficult.
But there are specific areas that if we really tried hard, we could, like the Eastern DRC is one of the problematic areas in terms of silencing the guns. Now Sudan. Of course,
the Sahel.
The Sahel, there's still even though it's less than what is happening in Sudan. Because in Sudan, it's really bad.
So, but you also had an agenda alongside silencing the guns to have the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes.
So that you have achieved.
In 2015, we launched the negotiations. And we said, by 2017, we must complete the negotiations. And most people laughed and said, she's naive. Trade negotiations take forever. So I said, well, it's not God-given that they take forever. It's us who take forever. So if we decide not to take forever,
we can do it.
We can do it. Indeed, it was done. By 2018, they were signing the agreement. And now it's in the process of being implemented.
So that's the one we have the secretariat here in Accra.
Yes, Ghana asked if the secretariat could
So
be
we
here.
are happy. There's a nice building. We have an after. Except that you have a building, people occupying it. You say, I'm trying to remember the name of the leader. But the problem is that Togo and Benin don't trade.
Well,
Uganda and Uganda and Kenya may. East Africa, they are better. But
I think they're doing, I wouldn't say perfect, but I think it's doing well.
the
For
intra-trade.
instance, yes. For instance, now there's a Pan-African payment system. We don't have to trade with dollars.
Okay, but what currency would we use?
Your current
I'm buying something from Zimbabwe.
Pan-African payment system, go and study it. 17 countries are using it now. Not everybody yet,
So we are building it.
but 17 are using it. So there's progress. And something unique about the Africa Continental Free Trade is that they've developed a protocol specifically for youth and women, because we recognize that women and youth have different challenges from the mainstream traders. So that is addressing some of the issues. So, but again, it's up to member states
To implement it.
to implement it. 49 have ratified it. 17 are now using the Pan-African payment system. But we also need to trade, because we can't be trading on rock and dust. We must manufacture. And to manufacture, you need energy. So there are still a number of countries that don't have sufficient energy, which is a constraint in terms of putting up factories. So we need to attend to that. But we also just need to believe in ourselves and do things for ourselves. I'll make an example. There's been a discussion about the Inga Dam as a place where we can do hydroelectricity that can supply a number of countries. We've been singing about it since time immemorial, but we are waiting for outsiders to come and do it for us. And I'm saying, let's not wait for outsiders. Look at the Ethiopians with their Renaissance Dam. They did not wait for outsiders, they did it themselves.
Another thing we've been singing about in West Africa is having a common currency. For decades, that has been a failure. But what we succeeded with in West Africa is a common passport. Do we have a similar thing in East, South, and North Africa where, I mean, if I went to Nigeria, my passport looks just like the Nigerian, ECOWAS, then Ghana on it?
Yeah,
What's the
I
plan?
was there at the launch.
Okay.
It said a common ECOWAS passport, no bribes. No visa bribes.
Okay. That was overly ambitious.
I think it solved the problem of visa bribes.
Okay.
Yes.
But if you go through the roads...
I think it's a great thing. And that's what we were trying to do for the continent. Because in 2016, in Rwanda, at the summit there, the African passport was launched.
There's an African passport?
Yes, an African passport.
For every African citizen or for diplomats like yourself?
No. The one that was launched is for Africans.
Okay.
But because the AU does not know you, so it can't issue a passport to you. So we said every country must be the one that issues the passport to its citizens. It would be, and we used the ECOWAS model, that it would say African passport,
Uganda.
African passport, Chad. And they agreed. All the heads of state agreed. the Chadian president, may his soul rest in peace,
Idris
Deby, and the president of Rwanda,
Kagame,
stood there with their own passports. They had them. We had issued all the heads of state with the passports because we knew them. So they stood there and raised the passports. But countries are not issuing. Citizens are not saying anything. So you must have an active citizenry to move Africa, to build the Africa we want. It's not just governments, business, citizens, everyone. You must ask yourself, what am I doing towards building the Africa we want?
The citizens you talk about, they are happy to get any visa other than the intracontinental visas. And I mean, I'm not generalizing, but I think generally that's what people would want. So they want to get out of the continent. They are not interested. Kwame Nkrumah said we should have one Africa, one president, maybe in Libreville, which is like the heart of the continent, or the other countries, like a federation of a sort. This is something he said many years ago. You have toured Africa. You have worked for Africa and worked in Africa. Are the citizens ready for a one Africa? Is that even possible practically?
The citizens, if the citizens were ready for one Africa, the Africa we will build would be an Africa they want to stay in, not the Africa they want to escape. So we need to have an environment where, even though we haven't built the Africa we want, citizens must have the view of wanting to fix Africa rather than escape Africa. But there are certain things that governments must do. For instance, in the Agenda 2063, one of the issues is about a skills revolution, so that every person, young person, women, have a skill that they can use to build the continent, that they can use either to get a job or to create jobs. So we are here today in the meeting of entrepreneurs because that's part of building prosperity on the continent. So the skills revolution is critical because most of the people who cross and sometimes drown on the Mediterranean do not have skills, but they think they can work in Europe and get a better euros or pounds. But if we create an environment where young people want to fix the continent, not to escape it, that's number one. The other thing, the continental free trade I've talked about, but also infrastructure.
Okay. And if you could just give me a second, I'm going to take a break because I'm interested in the infrastructure. Next year, February 2026, you're having the Africa Prosperity Dialogues. You are the chairperson of the council. I would ask you, what prosperity is there in this continent that you are dialoguing over? And this is my cynic self asking this question. I want to come back from this.
We're not talking about existing prosperity. We're talking about the prosperity we're building.
Good. So I'll ask you about the prospects of Africa when we come back. Please stay with us. This face to face.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is a competition. Everything.
Join our family for AFCON Morocco 2025 from 21 December to 18 January. Available on DSTV and GoTV.
You're welcome back. This Face to Face on Channel 1 TV. I'm Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest is Dr. Zuma. She, former AU chairperson. Currently, she's the chairperson of the Advisory Council of the Africa Prosperity Network. There's a big event coming up in February. The theme is exciting. But before then, what is the Africa Prosperity Network about? What is the idea?
The idea is actually to support and promote the Africa Continental Free Trade, because prosperity will come mainly from us trading amongst ourselves. So that's the push to get it going. And that's why even the themes talk to that. They talk either to infrastructure or to payments or to small, medium enterprises, women, youth, and so on. Because integration, connect,
So your theme for next year, February, is empowering SMEs, women and youth in Africa's single market, innovate, collaborate, trade.
Yes.
Very, very powerful.
Yes.
Talk to us about the theme and the driving principles.
Well, as I say, the overarching reason for Africa Prosperity Network is to make sure that Africa trades. So who should trade? It's the people. Who are the majority of the people on our continent? It's the youth and women. And if you don't empower them, it means you are trading at half capacity. So that's why it's so important to ensure that women and youth are empowered so that they can trade. But trade is about also collaboration. Small and medium enterprises are the biggest job creators. I think it's in terms of the trade in SMMEs is higher than the bigger businesses. So you have to empower them, but also the collaboration is not only amongst business. The collaboration should be amongst the government, business, and even academia, because if you are at university and you aspire to be a business person and you are taught by somebody who knows nothing about business, it's a problem. So there must be collaboration between governments, business, and academia. So that, I'll use Ethiopia again because I lived there. Mm-hmm. In Ethiopia, the professors at the universities do time in the business, in the private sector, some hours a week. The idea is you can't train young people for a world you yourself does not understand. So they have to train them to understand the world they are going into. So the theme is really about that we have to empower women, youth, and small and medium enterprises to be able to trade meaningfully and to create prosperity. Because when women and youth are empowered to trade, that's when you get prosperity.
So 5,000 participants from over 50 countries coming up for this. The focus, SMEs and the African single market. There's another thing you're doing at the APN, which is the Borders or Africa Without Borders desk. What is that about?
That is about what you talked about earlier, what Gruma said.
So the freedom to move without problems.
Yes. You should be able to move across the continent freely. We are one continent, one people, Africans.
Meaning we want Africans who will be stateless? So I cannot call myself Ghanaian, you can't call yourself Nigerian. Is that the plan?
I'm not a South African. I'm an African born in South Africa. You are an African born in Nigeria.
People see and associate with the country that they are in.
Yes, but let's look back. How did that country come about? Was it us voluntarily drawing that
It was
border?
Belgium.
So why should we adore things that were imposed on us, that are actually not helping us? If they were helping us, yes, I would say maybe. But they are not helping us. They are actually impeding our progress. So let's look at Southern Africa. Well, let's start with ECOWAS. You have a passport.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that passport, you can move freely in any of the countries. That's a good thing. Look at what Botswana, Namibia, and Zambia have done recently. They've banned the passport amongst those three countries. You can move with just your ID across. If you are Zambian, you can go to Botswana, Namibia, just with your ID and vice versa. Shouldn't we all do that?
It will be beautiful.
Yes, that's what.
But you mentioned infrastructure.
That's what a borderless Africa means.
But it needs good infrastructure, a working rail system, a working road system.
Yes.
And then we talk about air transports.
Yes, it needs infrastructure, transport, ICT connecting. It needs all sorts of infrastructure, air, rail, sea, which we have neglected.
Yeah.
But in the continent, 90% of our imports and exports
I see.
are carried through the maritime highways. We don't own a single vessel, not one. People inside those vessels, more than 90% or 99% are not African. So,
I mean, is there hope really for the continent?
there is hope if you and me and everyone else takes an interest. Because I'm talking to you, you should be actually going to back to investigate, or investigative journalism should go back and say, what have these heads of state agreed on? Why are they not implementing it?
And question them.
Yes, and say, as citizens, we want you to implement what you have agreed. We're not imposing anything. It's what you have agreed. So we need roads. Eventually, we even need high-speed rail that connects us.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I come here by train?
Should be easy.
From Johannesburg.
Should be easy.
So, but we have to put our mind to it and work on it as citizens, as business, as governments, as academics, everyone working together.
Getting the citizens, I hear you are gathering some signatures to present to the African Union. How far with that, and can that really push much?
I think that for me, that would be more symbolic.
Okay.
What must push is you saying on your station, we want free movement of people.
We will do that.
As citizens of this country. We want students to say, we want free movement of people. Women to say, we want free movement. If everybody in the country said that, the government will sit up and listen.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. But before we go, I want you to look at the camera and talk to the youth watching you in Lusaka, for instance, or in Harare, or in Cape Coast, and tell them that don't leave the continent, stay and fix it.
Yes. Young people, we left the continent to go and train so that we can fight for freedom. But now, you must get the skills in your own country. You must ensure that we fix the continent. Don't escape the continent. Let's fix it. Let's mobilize the young people and other people, Africans from the diaspora, to come and work with us to fix the continent. And as Nkrumah said, divided we are weak, but united Africa can be the biggest force for good in the world.
Inshallah.
So we want to be that force for good in the world. But we all have to work together, and the young people must be the force behind it.
Thank you so much, Mommy, for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
It's a privilege, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, former chairperson of the African Union Commission. Currently, she is the chairperson of the Africa Prosperity Network's Governing Advisory Council. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. This has been Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. Thank you for watching us.
Seconds on Dadie Ghana. Are you ready? The Blue Magic is rising again as Pre-Sec Legon celebrates 87 years of unstoppable excellence. This year, Pre-Sec and the Odadie Global Association presents the electrifying 87th Speech and Prize Giving Day under the theme Celebrating Our Heritage, Shaping Future Leaders Through Discipline and Academic Excellence. The date, Saturday, 29th November. The time, 9:30 a.m. sharp. The venue, Pre-Sec